Estate Show, a show about random things and occasionally some real estate. This show is brought to you by Houston's Home Connection team. I'm Tom Riggins, joined by Josh Arkless, and we just happen to be Houston's Home Connection team. You can find us on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and at www.houstonshomeconnection.com. And we are back with another adventure-packed show for you all this weekend, our loyal listeners. Today we're going to be talking about Andrew Luck and the situation that just developed over this last weekend, Popeye's brilliant marketing strategy, real estate appraisals, and a few surprises along the way. Sit back for a few minutes and we will do our best to make it worth your while.
All right, Tom, you probably saw over the weekend, as you just mentioned, that the biggest story in sports in a long time, and some are saying ever, but Andrew Luck had announced his retirement from the Indianapolis Colts over the weekend. Did you happen to see that?
Yeah, I was watching a football game actually, and I saw on Facebook somebody post Andrew Luck to retire, so I immediately went over to Twitter to verify that that's exactly what had happened, because when I tried to go to ESPN, it actually wouldn't even load up. And I'm assuming that it was, there were so many people trying to check it that it literally their servers wouldn't handle all of the requests. Is the only thing I could figure. But yeah, I definitely saw it.
Yeah, so I was watching the Miami-Florida game, and it scrolled at the bottom of the screen. And even then, I didn't believe it, even though it was coming from the station that was holding the game. And so I went off to Twitter, which, you try to, I guess you go there to verify all your news these days. But I went with Adam Schefter's page. He's usually at top for NFL. And it was a surprise. I mean, they were saying, in the last couple of days since it came out, that you could add 4 people to that list: Andrew Luck, Jim Brown, Calvin Johnson, the wide receiver of the Lions, and Barry Sanders as some of the most surprising early retirements of people who still have, in all rights, a lot of game left.
Yeah, and so I was listening to Dan Patrick again. You hear me talk about him a lot. I was kind of waiting. They were on vacation last week, and it's like I had no idea what was going on.
You probably went through withdrawals.
I did.
I'm sure.
They'll all retire one day, and I won't know what to do with myself. But he brought up a good point. That he said back. So Barry Sanders was actually talking to Dan before he retired. Mm-hmm. Like they're good, they're buddies and whatever. And what Dan had said in the past was, he goes, no, it's never going to be a big deal until a quarterback retires. So all of those people, nobody ever called any of those a quitter. They didn't call Barry a quitter. They didn't call everybody you've mentioned. Nobody, went on this big deal about them being quitters. It's a quarterback retiring, and it's just different. Because they're the quarterback.
Well, I would never, ever I think you are a loser if you want to call a man or a woman who's thinking that they're doing the best move for themselves. That's always been funny to me, how we can judge somebody else on what they think is the best move for themselves and their family. It's like, hey, I don't want you to do that. You got to think about my feelings. No, you're a loser because you can't tell me what to do. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, and the other thing I think has come into play, and I've seen this on several instances. What is coming into play is fantasy football plays into this so much more. Like, you see people much more angry at players over decisions they make with their life now, because people are so into fantasy football, whereas before they're like, well, it sucks that I'm not going to get to see you play football, but we'll move on.
Yeah.
But that's the other thing is, guess what? They'll move on. This will pass. And this is why it's the big deal to me that Andrew Luck does what's best for him. Give it a couple of cycles, and nobody's going to care about Andrew Luck. They will have found the next person and moved on. So why should he lay his body on the line for our entertainment when, as soon as he can't, we'll just forget him?
No, and I think a lot of people are perturbed due to the timing, but I can have an argument for the timing, is that it was probably it is a humongous decision, and I'm sure it wasn't one that he took lightly. So for him to, for you to knock him on to the time frame of when he's doing it, I'm sure if the worlds could have been collided and ended up a great situation, he would have done this before training camp even started to give the Colts plenty of time. But this is a decision I don't think that he's had a real easy time with, and rightfully so.
I agree with that. And I think just like, I don't know, because last week we talked about the whole Ezekiel Elliott and Antonio Brown thing, and they have a contract and they're just holding out because they want more. And I disagreed with that. I disagree with people who say that Andrew Luck owed anybody. I mean, look at the guy, look at the running back for the Texans who blew out his ACL, this preseason game. If he says, you know what, I'm done. The doctor said this and this, and it'll be a 2-year rehab, based on how bad it is. And I'm just not going to try to come back in 2 years. Nobody would say a word.
No.
So everybody trying to judge Andrew Luck on what they think they know about his mindset or whatever, that's silly.
I think this goes back to another point of how we can never put athletes in the same level as normal people, because how many normal jobs, even high-paying jobs, do you see anybody that can retire at 29 and just say, I'll just travel the rest of my life? It's a weird dynamic, and he's also not having to give back any of the signing bonus, so that's equaling out to $28 million that the Colts are now giving him.
Right.
I think I had mentioned to you earlier about how it's almost rightfully so, because damn near they had him killed with the offensive line that they put in front of him for many years. So.
Yeah, I think, I've got 2 friends that played in the NFL, and and I just met them when we moved here, and it's been very interesting to watch them post-career. And as you said, the fact that, they don't, what they do is what they choose to do. Neither of them had to go out and, get a job at one of the energy companies and work a normal day job. Any work they do is the work that they choose to do. And sports is probably one of the only careers, I guess you could call it, that you could get into and have that be the outcome.
Yeah. And to wrap this up on Andrew Luck, he was fun to watch, but like you said, I'm over it already. You know what I mean? People will forget this and just root on Jacoby Brissett if you're a Colts fan, which I am not. So good luck, you man, Andrew.
All right. So speaking of athletes, I have a little athlete in my house. I know you do too. And my little athlete this morning goes freaking out because he can't find his football pants. So that in turn somehow means I'm supposed to freak out because he can't find his football pants. And so I'm looking all over the place only to find out, his football pants are in his locker at school. So while I have gone on record as saying that I'm glad school is back in so that I could have a little time away, I'm also not glad because guess what? The number of times I run up to that school is crazy, noting how much he forgets stuff that turns out he just left it at school. And that was a random rant by me.
Yes. Well,
no rebuttal. That was my rant.
Yeah. Well, I can feel your pain, but so far so good this school year.
I would give it time. All right. Last week, Josh and I, we literally fell into the Popeyes chicken sandwich craze. And that I convinced Josh that we should drive up to Popeyes and try the chicken sandwich. We were going to videotape ourselves eating it, give everybody a review. And if you don't know, this is where Popeyes is claiming to have a sandwich that's better than Chick-fil-A's. And on Twitter, it blew up. We're not really sure if it was genius on their part or just something that happened. But either way, when we got there, there were no chicken sandwiches. So whether it was intentional or not, it was a crazy good stunt because they were sold out chicken sandwich. It was like Willy Wonka looking for the golden ticket.
So I will agree with you. I think if you really want to think my opinion, I don't think somebody actually thought this was going to end up like this. But somebody, if I was anywhere near Popeyes, I would say, hey, that was my idea to start a little rivalry because it has worked out perfectly. Now, to add to your little thing with the Popeyes being sold out of everything, the news literally had a segment to where people were fighting with Popeye's employees jumping through the drive-through window because they had ran out of the chicken sandwiches. Now, so it seems like I never get surprised by people. I guess I get surprised when I see it in the moment. I'm like, oh yeah, we're just weird. People are just weird that they got to fight over a chicken sandwich. I tell you what, just go down the road. If someone like we did, they were out of chicken sandwiches, and we just rolled like 30 feet down the road to Chick-fil-A and got their chicken sandwich.
Exactly.
It was really no sweat off our backs. And will I go back to Popeyes? I don't know. Maybe.
Well, what we, on the one that we went to, it was once we realized that we couldn't get out, we had to literally wait for the line to go through so that we could.
Oh, they sucked you in. Yeah.
Yeah. So they had us locked in there, and we just didn't fall into it and order something different. But,
you didn't have to give him the finger on the way by, though. I thought that was a bit much.
That was just me pointing. Don't make this sound worse than it is. I think I gave him the dirty look though.
For making us sit in that line forever.
I know. I think I kind of stared like, really? Like you could have put the sign somewhere back before I was trapped into the slot. But it was just and I actually thought about going out this weekend to try it and come back and give you a whole rundown on it. And in the end, I just thought, no, I'm not going to get trapped in there again. So I didn't do it. I'm kind of, it's one of those, I guess what we'll have to do is we will have to kind of let it give time to calm down, and then we'll go and we'll do it again and kind of do the after the fact chicken sandwich review. But nonetheless, it was it was just funny to watch the reactions. I think you had read something on Facebook or whatever, where some lady's like, if you find a Popeyes that has chicken sandwiches, let me know. It became the quest. Like I said, it reminded me of Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, where everybody was looking for the golden ticket, and they were, going all over the place trying to, going nuts over it.
It has been crazy, and to Popeye's credit, they have a great marketing thing going on, but to their discord is stock your places with some chicken sandwiches. I mean, come on.
Well, I mean, that's where you kind of go, like, maybe they didn't know this is what was going to happen because they were not prepared to have this many chicken sandwiches sold, or it's one of those deals that says like, well, the more people can't get something, the more they want it.
Yeah. I don't know. Over it.
Yeah, no. I mean, if I never have one, it's not like I'm going to.
Let me ask you this, Tom. So it seems like I'm the only one at my house that does not abide by if it's yellow, let it mellow situation to where I could go around the house and just continually flush toilets because nobody in the house seems to do that outside of myself. Now, to their credit, I won't name any names, but they do flush it down if it's brown. So do you have any issues with that?
Well, the issue that we have in my house is that one of my sons, the same one who made me run around looking for his pants, will swear that he flushed, but he didn't. And then he'll say, well, it's not me. It's like, but you're the only one who's been in there. And he'll still say that it wasn't him. So he doesn't, well, I guess on purpose he doesn't flush, but he apparently is trying to tell us it's not a choice he's making to say, I'm just not going to, but he doesn't.
Yeah.
And so you follow him and you tend to get in there. And
well, I'm a flusher, so that's just, I don't care what it is.
Whatever. I'm not going to, after the cleaning ladies come for anything, I always give it a good courtesy flush.
Yeah. All right. So I had an issue over last week to where we're, if any of you heard our recent podcast, we've spoken about the lower interest rates. So, like anybody, I'm going to try to take advantage of them like I could. And got locked in for almost a point lower, which, is dramatically going to help the monthly payment. But by doing that, you have to go through the closing process, which is part of that process is the appraisal. You have to have a guy come out, appraise the home, this and that and the other. Well, I had a guy come out who appraised my home for less than what we paid for it while we're in an appreciating market, especially in my neighborhood, which appreciates pretty well due to its location of major roadways and downtown Houston. And it's just very perturbing to me that I might be able to work this out with my lender, on a refi situation, but this guy who sent a very uneducated appraisal holds so much weight. And if like I told my wife, if this was a normal situation, his value may be law. And there may be no way to fight this at all, even though I do have good comps and I will fight it. Have you ever ran into this situation? I'm just still flustered by it because it still just ticks me off that they carry so much weight. And I won't say that they're sitting here going to 4-year colleges and getting PhDs and masters. These are some of them you just get on an online course. And for them to say that they have so much more experience in this than realtors, which they probably do. There's a lot of bad realtors, but I take a lot of pride in pricing homes. And I take a lot of pride in diving in and finding comparable properties when doing CMA. So, what is your take? I know you've had some issues in the past with
I guess the thing I've been the most proud of in my time doing this is I've only ever had one appraisal that didn't appraise, or one house that didn't appraise for what we were selling it for, and the guy came up and was 1,000 under what we were selling it for, which is silly, because he knows what we're selling it for. There was no reason for that. And so that's probably the one I've been the most frustrated with. We did have one time that was just so blatantly wrong. Like the house was 500 foot smaller by his estimation than any. So in that case, they went to great lengths with the lender and whatever else. They maybe even have changed lenders or whatever to get another appraisal because it was so not even remotely right. But the guy was like, this is what I said it is. And so those are the two instances that I can think of. But that being said, I tell my sellers and really even the buyers need to understand this too. I tell them all the time, until that appraisal comes in, I do not feel, I'm nervous, and I try to talk to my appraisers and tell them here's the houses I used. I try to really help them get it done. I think most of them want to make the deal work, but at the same time, it doesn't seem like if all parties, like if the buyer and the seller both agree, like that's not a good appraisal, there's no real recourse of like going to somewhere and going, hey, we want to protest this, because they go, well, that guy does it. And I've heard, where guys are, don't get me wrong, but these guys deliver pizzas at night. They're doing appraisals during the day. There's nothing wrong with being a pizza delivery guy, because as Dave Ramsey says, if you're in debt, you do everything you can to get out of debt. So I'm not, but you're right. It's not a profession where like they have an office and this and that. These are people that just got hired and they're shown sort of a formula. But if they plug in the wrong things of that formula, it's still wrong. And I should be able to point out, like you were telling me, they shouldn't be looking at houses that are 5 miles away and 10 years older than your house. That's wrong. But there's really no recourse for that.
So let me ask you this. Do you think that appraiser should know the general area well? Because there have been times where a lot of appraisers will come up to our area, and they may either live or do the majority of theirs, let's say on the west side, south side, whatever. I think there's a lot of stock to be taken for somebody that knows the area very well and what is going on as far as the prices moving up or down.
No, I can see, like from the little town I grew up in and moved from, the little town you did, an appraiser should know the town, right? It's a town of 40,000. Mine was 40,000 people. But when you're talking around here, yeah, there's absolutely no reason that somebody should be coming from Conroe all the way over here unless they can show me like, oh yeah, I've done 100 houses. Okay, it. But if it's like, yep, this is my first time to ever come over this area. Then
I've
why
heard that
in the
before.
world are you doing an appraisal over here? Why are you putting people's ability to get a house in the hands of somebody who is not knowledgeable enough to do that? It's not just, oh, well, it's just sales and comps and whatever. There's so much more that goes into it. What the schools are like you said, located to a road,
yep.
How desirable or how fast are they selling? So I I've had good luck, but I can also tell you some of those situations, like I'm mad for you right now. You can tell I'm getting upset.
No, so it perturbed me, and it could cost us the issue with, and I even negotiated a good deal on my home to be lower than the market. So people might say, hey, Josh, you bought a new construction, that's top of the market. I negotiated for my price and got lower than the market when I bought it. So there's no way, absolutely no way that my home has depreciated in value by $2,000. It's just not possible.
Well, that's one of the things I talk to people about as far as, in our business, you're supposed to bring your value added proposition. And, one of the I do is that I've never failed except for the one time by $1,000. Have I ever failed an appraisal? And that's because I work really hard to try and make sure that doesn't happen. I meet the appraiser, I hand him a packet of information. And so I think if you're out there and you're looking, for an agent, you need to ask that, hey, just how many times have your appraisals not gone through? Because when you're going to sell your house and all of a sudden you find out it's $10,000 less than what you thought you're going to get, you don't have to sell it for $10,000 less. But chances are the buyer across the way says, well, I can't give you I don't have $10,000 cash to make the difference. And you're you're in trouble right there. So you need to, just something to ask an agent. How's your track record on appraisals? And they'll tell you what they're going to tell you, but it's a bigger deal than most people think. And if you never have to worry about it, it's because you had a good agent who did all the right things and got it to go.
Well, let me add just a quick little tidbit before we run off here is that if you have an agent who comes to your house during a listing presentation and says, you list it for whatever you want, I'll put a sign in the yard and you're welcome to list it for whatever you want. Well, there's a good possibility that there will be a buyer that will come and give you what you want. Does that mean that the market is going to allow you to sell your home for that much? No, because that appraiser will come in and say your home is way overpriced, and that just causes so much issues on the back end that's why you cannot have a realtor come into your home and just allow you to name your price. You've got to have some tangible facts behind your price.
Yep, I agree.
All right, well, hopefully you enjoyed today's episode. It's always good to get back on the airways with you all. So we want to thank you for listening and join us again next week when we talk about more random thoughts and possibly sprinkle in some tangible information. Make sure you subscribe to the podcast on iTunes so you never miss an episode. You can also subscribe to our YouTube page, Houston's Home Connection Team. And if you're needing a lawnmower, I'll get you the guy's name who just drove by the window. And also, if you need some real estate, please go contact us, the HHC team, your go-to Lake Houston real estate team, at justask@houstonshomeconnection.com. Take care.
See you, everybody.